if you want the right answer to something, you do not say what you think's the right answer. You say something that's obviously the wrong answer, and then everyone will tell you what's wrong and what's actually right. So I'm going to do that today and tell you what you should spend all of your currency on in Final Fantasy XIV. I think that's a pretty good segue into going over all the currencies in Final Fantasy, just because there are so many and there are so many things that you can spend them all on. So I just figured I'd help out. And if you want, you can put down in the comments what you think is the best thing, and then we can compile it all, pin the comment, and just be super helpful for everyone around. So in the plethora of currencies from nuts to poetics and everything in between, we're going to start at the top of the list at nuts, because they come from hunt trains and they are one of the most valuable things that you can do. Now there's a lot you can spend your nuts on, your little peanuts that, like Anya would say. Anya, peanuts are you can definitely buy the mounts and minions as first, because those are some of the most sought after things that you can have in the game. And then you can spend it on materia, which is a great source for, you know, high-end raiders, and people just need combat materia in general. And this is probably, actually, it's not probably, it is the most efficient way to get materia in bulk. Now, if you have all of the materia that you need and you don't want to sell any on the mecha board, there's another thing you can do, and that is buy gear, whether it be for desynthing, which I recommend if your desynth level isn't like all the way max. Which, you know, I just kind of covered in a video, and you can go watch that so I can have higher retention, because, you know, YouTube things. Okay, in all seriousness, you can use it as to level your desynth or get more Grand Company seals. Then with the Grand Company seals, you can definitely buy some of like the orchestration rolls and stuff, like if you want, if you're trying to collect stuff. If not, the best thing if you're looking for Gil or just in general would be like glamour prisms and dark matter, so you can repair all of your gear. If you max out or you have a ton of those things, you can always buy venture coffers, because, you know, venture coffers is something that you'll always need. And another thing that you can do to buy for profit, I would not do this in mass quantities, however, because this is a small market and you can oversaturate it very easily. I would just buy like 4 at a time, and that would be the Heaven's Ward relic mats. And you're going to need 4 per weapon. There's 4 of them total, so I think, what's that, 16? You're going to need 16 total of these mats. They sell for about 10k a piece last time I checked, and you can just buy them in groups of 4 periodically, because not everyone is working on Heaven's Sword relics or old relics in general. This may be a good time at like the end of the expansion cycle to spend on those things. And the last thing I'm going to cover is the minion boxes, which I also made a video on. You can buy the minion boxes if you're into collecting. You can make a decent amount of gil here. This is just like another source of gil. I wouldn't like think you're going to get rich off buying minion boxes. However, you can definitely make a large amount of profit if you are lucky. Oh yeah, minion box, baby, minion box. Smash. Another one related to hunts would be the seals, the allied seals, and the seals that start with a C, because I cannot pronounce words, will come from any A or S rank that isn't from Shadowbringers or Endwalk. So any Stormblood, Heaven's Sword, or ARR A rank or S rank will drop these seals that you can use. And the only thing I would actually buy with this are the Aetherite tickets that you can use for teleporting, and it just will save you gil in the future on teleporting. Basically, if you want to really farm these, there's a Discord. I only know the primal one, I'm sorry, but just Google it, Reddit it, you'll find it, I'm sure. If not, these are one of these things where the comments would be really helpful for people to like, oh, I'm on Aether, here you go. You can just set a notification up when an A rank, S rank spawns. You can definitely just go kill it, get 100 seals, get 20 free teleports, and save them gil. That's like the best thing to use those seals on. It's actually an overlooked part of the game that I definitely wish I knew about sooner, but yeah. Carry on. Stop right there. If you subscribe right now, you will win the next Cacpot drawing. I am lying, but you should do it anyway. But back to the video. Segueing off of that, I'm going to go to wolf marks, which come from PvP, and once again, I would just buy venture coffers, dark matter, and, you know, glamour prisms. If you want, there are some orchestration rolls, and you can always buy old glamours here. I think PvP has some of the best old glamours. The High Elgin set's one of my favorites, so look around, there are some glamours there. But if you already have all of those, there's not really a great way to make any gil from, you know, PvP, so I would just buy more ventures, dark matter, and prisms. This is actually where I spend most of, or this is how I acquire most of those things, is from my wolf marks. Gathering and crafted scripts, I would just buy materia with. You can buy some of the like food mats with purple script if you want, but I think materia is generally just more useful for you as a player, and if you're trying to make Gil, it'll be more useful on the market board. When the next set of raid tier comes out, maybe a little bit of food, but this is one of those things where everyone is going to be buying it. I wouldn't necessarily like try to make a ton of Gil here just because this market's going to become oversaturated. I would just stick to buying grade 9 and 10 materia. I forgot this first time I recorded, but second time I record. The gems, what you should spend your gems on, I think that's a currency that's worth keeping in mind about. And that would be probably just lunar tender blossoms this time around, or some of the leather. There's not any great way to make a ton of Gil with this. So anything that relies on future food or current food. And if you are one of those people that really want one of the mounts or the like demon wing, you can use it to buy the gemstone vouchers, which you need 500 of for the mount and the wings. However, I wouldn't rely on that as a way to make a ton of Gil because people who generally want those things have enough Gil to buy them and probably already have bought them. So unless you yourself are going to try to get one of those, I don't think it's a worthwhile way to try to make a ton of Gil. 100 gems is like 70k Gil right now. Lastly, I'm going to be covering Poetics, and I have to split these up into 3 categories because some of them will be expired with the exception of the actual Poetics when we get from different patches based on like what raid tier it has. So right now it's causality, but it's just your capped tomes, which is going to be capped at 450 per week. Your astronomy or your mid-tier tomes, which are just whatever causality is going to replace next time we get a new currency. You get 2,000 of those, and those only come from max level activities. And then we're going to cover Poetics, which is, you know, anything that isn't a max level activity. You get these from basically everything in the game. So starting off with Poetics, obviously, if you're one of those people, you can work on Heavensward relic stuff. There's tons of stuff. I can give you a list on the screen, but this is definitely like the Poetic relic. Like you just need a ton of Poetics. And if you're working on a Shadowbringers relic, if you're trying to start a Shadowbringers relic, this is one where you can just like buy the intro, like 4 materials. It's like 1,000 Poetics to start it, and you can also buy those. If not, people will say you can buy soil or stuff to buy soil, and you can sell those on the market board. It's a decent way to make Gil, but I mean, I wouldn't rely on it. I would like rather level my decent stuff. No, like I've said this like 3 times now. Just keep buying stuff to decent and or level your other jobs or like gear for your other jobs that you're leveling. If you have all like 90 classes and you're rich, why are you worrying about where you're spending your Poetics? Most people know where to spend their Poetics. Most people just cap Poetics and just let it like rot because, you know, there's not a lot of Gil to be made there. I'm sorry. Astronomy or your mid-tier tomes. Now, this is one thing I'm going to say once again, definitely level your decent and, you know, gear some of your other jobs here if you would like. Always you can look for glamour here. That goes for any of the Poetics and the crafting mat. I would definitely say early on in a raid tier, crafting mats are more valuable. You can make a decent amount of Gil. Right now there are these things called toes or the mistletoe. We just call them toes, you know, gross feet, gross. So just a bunch of toes, and those are almost always going to be need just because you need them for high-end grade 8 pots. What are we, grade 7 pots? You're going to need them for pots, which are going to be good until like 6.4, so you can definitely buy a lot of pots or toes and use them for pots in the future. So that's what I would spend it on, or decent. Those are the main ways to make Gil or benefit yourself as a player, rather than gearing jobs. And lastly is the causality tome, and I'm just gonna tell you, just buy gear. If you care about BIS, look it up. You can buy the best in slot stuff if you want. If not, just buy gear. Gear level increase anywhere you can is like super beneficial. If not, just look for glamour. Just that's all you need to do. You can't decent it yet. You can decent it in the future, but I mean, just look for glamour. You know, have fun, increase your gear level, all those things. Pretty simple. That one's probably the most simple out of everything on this list. But I hope that kinda helps you make sense of all of the currencies that there are in this game. There's an absolute metric ton of them, so just like, you know, don't get overwhelmed by it. Hopefully it gives you a direction that you can go into. You know the drill. If you found the video helpful, definitely leave a like on it and, you know, subscribe to the channel because, you know, creators like us find it extremely useful. That goes for anyone's videos, not just mine. But as always, I hope you have a great day. So Stormblood, Heavensward, and base AR are ARR. How many times do I have to try this out? This is definitely bloopers.